Hello, welcome back to the Reading Mama. My name is Heather. Today I'm going to share some World War I historical fiction. So it's been a while. We have been dealing with sickness in the house and then trying to get back on track for school while still not being fully unpacked from our big moving everything out of the house to replace things. Still no windows. Yeah, so it's a whole process. I finally found some of my school things, so that's good. Um, but I thought today I would share some of our World War historical fiction. This year we are studying 20th century history. And with that, I am taking like 6 weeks to follow a couple decades. And so our first 6 weeks of school, we're getting ready to start week 5 tomorrow. And we are studying 1900s to 1920. And so with that, you have kind of a lot of industrialization. You have a lot of World War One, of course. You have the Spanish flu pandemic. You have prohibition and just a lot of different things going on. And so my kids each have some historical fiction to go along with that. Now it's primarily focusing on World War One, just because our history books are very light in the subject. For some reason, that's hard to find a good living book that's not like super long. I just want a snippet, but I want it to be a little bit more detailed than the half chapter that I got the other day. So I supplemented that with historical fiction for my kids. They're also reading biographies and other books that will talk about those kind of things as well. Like my middle school kids are all reading The Yanks Are Coming by Albert Perrin or Marin. And so we have all that. So don't worry about their education. They're getting it. But we use the historical fiction to supplement, and we have found so many good ones. And my kids, I also get a lot of books from that topic from the library throughout. But the 1900s to 1920, it's hard. It's not something that is written about in historical fiction for middle grade YA very much. So I have a few I thought I'd share with you. So first up is for my second grader, and she's reading this, The Night Flares. It's an American girls history mystery. Not great, but interesting and easy enough for her to read, and it talks a little bit about some of what's going on in World War One. It takes place in North Carolina, and it talks a little bit about flight, which was, something else that happened in the early 1900s, homing pigeons, and things like that. So it includes a few things that I wanted her to just kind of learn about the time period a little bit more. Next up, for my fifth grader is reading The Singing Tree. And this has been on my TBR for a while. I have not read it. My oldest has read it. So I'm going to read you the inside. The whole countryside turned out for the colorful folk festivals and weddings, and bees droned among the acacia blossoms by old Uncle Moses' store in the village. Then the Great War came, and all this jollity was suddenly gone. The women and children were left in charge. For 2 years, Johnsy was the master of the Nagy Ranch and haven of relatives and prisoners and refugee children, and his mother and Kate held this world together. And so I've just heard wonderful things about it. This is a beautiful cover from the library. Again, but it is a bit longer. My fifth grader is enjoying it for the most part, but this is like kind of her first big delve into historical fiction, so she's struggling with some of the terminology and things like that. It's still on my TBR. Hopefully I will get to it. Maybe I will actually read it before she finishes it. Then I have my middle school and high schoolers, and my middle schoolers are like leaning into some Jennifer Nielsen this semester. So first up is my sixth grader. They're all reading it. And Jennifer Nielsen's Lines of Courage. And I have read this. I've read all the Jennifer Nielsen. For most part, I've read most of her works. And this one follows World War One. And I'm going to just review here. But Felix from Austria-Hungary longs for the bravery to resist Jewish deportations before his own family can be taken. And then Kara from Britain dreams of someday earning her Red Cross pin and working as a nurse or even a doctor. And Juliet of France hopes her family can remain knitted together. Elsa, oh yeah, this one had lots of points of view. That's right. So you have Felix, Kara, Juliet, Elsa, and Dimitri from all these different countries. So you get a lot of different perspectives. Talk a lot about no man's land and things like that. And my kids, my oldest and I read this a few years ago, really loved it. Jennifer Nielsen is fast-paced, and her stories are just really well written for that middle grade YA age, because they're not too gritty, they're not too gruesome, but they do draw you into the story, and she does a lot of really does a good job showing the time period and the actual events that are going on. But I feel like you can tell enough that you can kind of tell, okay, this is real, but these are the fictional characters. But I don't know, you can draw the line pretty easily. And so I really love Jennifer Nielsen, which is why she's playing heavily in our family's reading this year. And then my 8th grader is reading Iceberg. She's also going to read Lines of Courage, but she has asked for it for Christmas present, and so she doesn't want to read it until then, but I digress. My oldest and I have read Iceberg as well. This is not my favorite Jennifer Nielsen, but you follow the story, and I can't remember if it's 1 or 2. Yeah, it's just one timeline. But you follow Hazel on the Titanic. I mean, really, it's a Titanic story. They're all pretty much the same. Nothing, and that might be why I wasn't super impressed with it, because it's kind of the same story for everybody, because we all know how it ends. But it's Hazel is traveling. She's not, a first class. She's going over to America, work in a factory. She's, it's her experience, and it is interesting. But not my favorite, probably because of the subject matter, but this is my teenager's favorite. Speaking of the teenager, for her World War I book, she is reading Switchboard Soldiers by Jennifer Chiaverini, and I really loved this book. I think it is phenomenal. I've really loved, let's try that again. Jennifer Chiaverini, Switchboard Soldiers is a wonderful book. I really loved it. I'm loving Jennifer Chiaverini in general. She does a great job of telling multiple points of view, different walks of life, but also getting a lot of history. And this one, of all the books I've read of hers, amazing. Like, it just really walks you through what's going on through World War I. You get a lot of big names of battles, of locations, of generals, inner workings of the military, workings between different countries, all of that. One of the characters is Grace Banker, who is a real person, so it is based on a real person, but then the others are not real people, but, loosely based on real people. And it tells the story of the women who worked the switchboards during World War I. So those are great. 2 that I don't have with me because I got them from the library. Another Jennifer Chiaverini, which would be a good high school level one, is The Canary Girls. That was really good, talking about women in the munitions factory in England during World War I. That was good. It had a little bit more romance, if you want to call it that, because there's a married couple in one. There are 2 of them. The characters are married couples, and my teenager is very anti-romance, and so Switchboard Soldiers has very, very minimal, nothing spicy, nothing anything like that. But it's like so minor to the story that you could cut it out and wouldn't even notice it was gone. Whereas in Canary Girls, there's a little bit more of marriage talk and things like that, so it is for adults. But again, nothing spicy or gruesome, but Canary Girls would not be her cup of tea. Another great early 1900s, I'm actually saving it for, or no, I'm not. I made it optional, was Uprising by Margaret Peterson Haddix, which I've talked about her on here before, and that is a really great book. Margaret Peterson Haddix has a lot of weird sci-fi that I love, and a lot of historical fiction sci-fi mix, which is amazing, like the Missing series. Uprising is not that. It's just straight historical fiction. It follows multiple points of view, and it follows the Shirtwaist Triangle factory strike and then subsequent fire. Heartbreaking. Very serious. Again, it does have a little bit of the romance things, but again, nothing serious. Not anything anybody would classify it as a romance, but enough that my oldest would be like, bleh. She's very picky, but I digress. But Haddix does a great job in that, showing different stations of life and how all of them were impacted by the shirtwaist factory. It's a really pro-union, but if you, that's not, it doesn't take away from the story, but there is a lot about the union and unionization. And I think that's an important topic to talk with our kids so that they can kind of see where it all came from, where it started, and compare that to what it is now, and open some healthy communication. But as an adult, I loved reading it. And it has a really pretty cover. I'll try to put a picture up here, but I highly recommend those. Few books. I know there are more out there. If you have a early 1900s, World War I, middle grade YA or even adult level reading, let me know. That is like a historical fiction black hole, it feels like. There's, excuse me, there's not a lot about that time period, and I really am enjoying reading it and enjoyed pushing myself to find that. So we'll be back doing this again when we do next term. Next 6 weeks, we will be doing 20s and 30s, so be prepared for the depression. Thank you so much for watching and have a blessed day.